Payments are indeed an integral part of every retail and hospitality operation. I understand that we have a new product, a very exciting product called LS Pay. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, indeed. We have a new integral electronic fund transfer solution, or an EFT solution, called LS Pay, which is for all of our retail and hospitality platforms, allowing businesses to accept payments whether they're running LS NAV, LS One, LS Omni, or just any of our solutions.
Now, this solution originates from the LS NAV operations in the US, where the payment landscape was not as fragmented as it was in the rest of the world. But now it has changed. It's not as fragmented as it was. So now we are using that solution to extend it to the rest of the world.
What do you mean by payment space being fragmented?
Well, I can answer that, and it all revolves around the acquiring banks. So fragmentation refers to the fact that in the past, if you were to build EFT integrations from a point of sale to an acquiring bank, you would need to build an integration to every single financial institution acting or functioning as an acquiring bank. So if there were, let's say, 5 acquiring banks in a certain country, you needed to make 5 different native integrations to support the business in that particular country. And then we have all the other countries. So this situation is a little bit difficult, or was a little bit difficult to work with. Now, on the other hand, in the US, Verifone pioneered the concept of giving us a unified payment gateway, abstracting the acquirers. So LS Retail only needed to create a single integration to Verifone, where they would then channel the authorization requests to all the acquirers that they would support behind the scene. In this case, we can say that Verifone assumed the role of a payment service provider, or PSP. Now, a PSP is an entity that gives you this payment gateway and abstracts the acquirers. The PSP is the entity that the stores negotiates with and is the entity that sources the devices to the retailers. The change, indeed, that has facilitated that LS Pay can now spread to the rest of the world is that this concept of a PSP now applies to the rest of the world. And the key element of LS Pay is that we are offering integrations to multiple payment service providers all over the world as an off-the-shelf product readily available on our price lists.
But how will this change how things are today? And what are the benefits of adopting LS Pay?
Well, there are actually multiple benefits for all parties. For instance, the way we architect the LS Pay, you can implement it for all our retail and hospitality solutions. So you have one integration, and then you have access to multiple platforms for each payment service provider we support. For example, you have an engine, and then you have multiple plugins. For example, AltaPay, where the AltaPay plugin knows how to interact with their own gateway. And then you have PayX and Verifone, who will do the similar things. So for the Nordics, for example, you have 4 plugins, or access to 4 plugins with one integration: the PayX, Valitor, Verifone, and Nets. And then you have the benefits for LS Retail, where you have one integration, so you only have to integrate one plugin, and then you have access to all the others. So one integration for each, which is a huge benefit for us.
And if we look at the benefits of our partners, then this truly eases the localization burden on our partners. In many cases, our partners have been maintaining these EFT integrations by themselves, expressing wishes that we would take this over. And another thing also is that this levels the playing field for our partners, because it's very common for partners in a certain area to have the arrangement that one partner owns the EFT integration and then sells use of it to the other competing partners. And this is all well until they compete for the same tender. Then some of them are really at an uneven advantage.
And the benefits for the customers or the store owners is that they now have a choice, because as Petur has said, you had to integrate one payment service provider for each partner, and then you would be locked in that connection. But by implementing the LSPay, you have access to various payment service providers. So this allows our customers to have a choice.
One element critical to payment is security. Recently, there has been news of security breaches where sensitive payment data has been compromised. How is LSPay addressing this?
Well, security is obviously critical to LSPay, and we make sure that we follow all international security standards on the matter. The way we do it is that we only team up with payment service providers who are pre-certified. And what this means is that the certification aspect fully resides at the PSP. So in layman's terms, what this means is that our point of sale never has the opportunity of storing any data that's sensitive because we simply never get it from the payment service provider. So, as I said, our point of sale, they can never store, track or register any sensitive data that could be used to commit fraud.
Exactly, and also because the PCI DSS certification is done by the payment service provider, the retailer never has to go to costly certification when using LSPay.
What about the new elegant payment options such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay? Are those supported by LSPay?
Yes, definitely. It depends on the payment service provider. From our perspective, we send the authorization of the card to the payment terminal, and depending on how you pay with a card, swipe or PIN, or with a phone, if the payment service provider supports it, then so do LSPay.
New buzzwords in the payment world include omni-channel payments and tokenization. Are those elements supported by LSPay?
Yes, of course, and one of the key selection criteria on when we are selecting payment service providers to work with is indeed whether they already support tokenization and omni-channel payments, or at least intend to do so. So the aim for us is to allow retailers to have the ability to negotiate with a single payment service provider to support all their channels, meaning that all transactions, regardless of whether they're done on a stationary point of sale, a mobile point of sale, on the e-commerce platform, or even from a call center, they are all handled by a single payment service providers, so retailers don't have to mix and match between different providers as they do often need to do today. And if we look at the term tokenization, then what's happening there is that every single transaction, regardless of the channel, is now accompanied by a token. So if you buy something online, a token will accompany your payment into our central transaction repository. So you are now at liberty to buy something online, but go to the store and you want to return the items in the store that you bought online. We can then simply look up your transaction, retrieve that token that identifies your credit card, and make a return transaction onto the original card, which is called cross-channel returns. So that's also a very interesting feature set and basically where the payment industry is going. So to summarize, omnichannel payments and tokenization, these are elements that every single PSP out there is racing to achieve. And this is really where the payment industry is heading.
I understand the scope of LSPay is a global one and that you aim to support multiple payment service providers in each of our main market areas.
Yes, our goal is to support 4 to 5 payment service providers in each market area. And we are currently working on Europe and the US.
But where's LSPay available now?
Well, we've implemented PayX and Valitor for the Nordics, and we are implementing Verifone and AltaPay.
Yeah, and we also have Nets and Payworks on our roadmap.
The first project of the team was to implement Verifone for Verifone Point for US, and it is being certified at this moment.
And we hope to see it released in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This would be great.
We've not started in East Asia, but our current goal is to implement Alipay and WeChat.
However, the payment solution in East Asia are quite different from Europe, so we need to develop the architecture behind it before we start to implement the payment provider. Because our main focus is, of course, to make it easier for the retailer to have communication with us and implement the system.
But can you shed some light on which PSPs we might expect support for in the near future?
We have a number of solutions in our roadmap, and we will implement them in correlation with the business as the payment world evolves.
From a shopper's perspective, one of the most recent changes we have noticed is the onset of contactless payments, being able to tap your card or your smartphone to the card terminal. Can shoppers expect further new payment methods or technology changes through LS Pay?
Yes, if we look at the horizon and see what the device manufacturers have in store for us, we are seeing great opportunities like web applications on the terminals, where retailers can interact with their customers through these web applications. If we look at Verifone, for example, they are the first to initiate this kind of technology, where the retailer can pick applications that he can put on the terminal, which is awesome.
So the main thing is that we as consumers, we will be interacting with the card payment terminal in so many more ways than only to pay. And this allows businesses to really engage with the customers in this dead spot, which is when our items are being scanned.
But what kind of applications are these?
These applications can be of all sorts. The possibilities are endless. You can round up to support UNICEF, to participate in polls, or rate your experience in the store. You can do almost anything on these applications.
So this, as I said, presents us with the opportunity to really engage with the customer through the checkout process. And this really opens up a new window when it comes to customer loyalty. For example, while the sales associate is scanning the items, the customer is simply identifying him or her on the card payment terminal, selecting which coupons he or she would like to use in the transaction. We are seeing recommendations, we are selling upsell, cross-sell initiatives, and basically just the whole personalization aspect.
So a lot of possibilities.
Yes, in fact, endless possibilities. We can put ads and videos on the terminal as the customer is paying, or even put ads and videos that are personalized for the customer.
And this also gives us the ability to turn the card payment device into an interactive customer display. So as the sales associate is scanning the item, I can watch the terminal and take interactive choices as the transaction progresses. Whether I would like to activate coupons, whether I would like to respond to upsell, cross-sell notifications, suggestions, recommendations. This really opens up a bag of opportunities. And also, if we look at this from the hospitality sector, then here we have a really elegant way of handling tips and gratuity, even if you're paying at the counter or also in a mobile manner paying at the table. So this opens up a whole new world from a loyalty perspective, as we'll be able to communicate so much more with the customer through the card payment terminal. And this is something that we in LS Pay are really focusing on.